All right, what up, y'all? ALBB, I'm back at it. About to get started with this crazy case for her name is Jamie. Hold on, let me make sure I say it right. It's Jamie Goldie. I think that's how you pronounce it, but this this is gonna be the deposition of her case when she sicked her dog on somebody who was not fighting or anything like that. She's just one of those officers who escalates when there's no reason to escalate a situation. And I'm going to show you this situation before the actual deposition. I'm getting better with doing the research ahead of time before I just go live, because most of the times I see something and I'm gonna watch it anyway, so I just go live before I watch it. But this one, I did a little research and I was able to find some videos that she was involved in that led up to the case that she's having a deposition on. Um, it, that's going to be on this video. But what was interesting about this is that it wasn't that easy to find all this information that I was looking for. It was like one or two videos of the incident itself, and it's dash cam footage and body cam footage. So I'm wondering why it was so why it wasn't easy to find. But that's besides the point. But you're gonna see we talked about a video before of a blind man being arrested, for carrying his walking stick. This is that same officer uh involved in this case that we're going to be checking out today. Or if anybody remembers, this was the body cam footage. It's going to be of this officer in this deposition where she arrested a blind man because it really was no reason, just because she's a tyrant and escalates everything. But I'm gonna play this video.
What's this in your back pocket? I just saw you walking it.
It's a navigational age. What's the problem? You a tyrant?
Shocking body camera video shows deputies arrest a legally blind man walking back from jury duty with a walking stick. What's your name and date of birth?
I don't have to give that unless
yes, sir. I was investigating.
You have reasonable.
Do you want me to put you in handcuffs right now? Yes, sir, I do. It happened on October 31st in Columbia County, Florida. Body camera video shows deputies interacting with 61-year-old James Hodges, who is carrying a walking stick in his back pocket. According to the video, responding deputies at first believed it was a gun.
What is your suspicion?
It looks like you're carrying a gun in your back pocket. I'm stopping to make sure you're carrying it properly. You don't have
you ensured that it's not a firearm?
No, you keep turning so I can't see it. You don't have to be a to me.
Well, you're being one to me.
Video shows Hodges refusing to give out his name, date of birth, or ID card. He then calls for the responding deputy's supervisor. No, sir, I'm doing my job.
Am I detained?
Yeah, you are. What's your name and date of birth?
It does not matter.
Yes, sir, it does.
Do you have a crime?
Would you like me
Call
to
your
put you in?
supervisor,
He's right
please.
here. The supervising deputy again asks for Hodges' ID, but he refuses.
What she stopped you for? For a walking stick.
So,
and it could look like a weapon. She asked you to present it, okay? Now she's asking me for ID. Okay. I don't need the ID unless there's reasonable articulated suspicion that I have committed a crime and committing a crime or about to do a crime. Sir, and her suspicion was that you were armed, okay? And she's asking you for your ID. Well, now she has verified that I am not armed, okay? So there is no problem. Do you have your ID or not? I do have my ID, but you don't need it.
after that, Hodges is handcuffed. That's when Hodges confirms that he is legally blind and carries the navigational aid to help him when walking. He also tells deputies he was stopped while walking back from jury duty.
Sir, are you legally blind? Yes, I am. Okay.
Walking while blind.
I had to walk up here in the dark for jury duty, which was canceled. Why aren't you using your stick? You don't have to use your stick all the time? Not all the time.
After Hodges' ID card is retrieved, the supervising officer orders he be taken into custody for resisting an officer and obstruction.
So after she violates his Fourth Amendment right, she still doubles down on the tyranny and the violation by arresting him. There was no, first of all, she was investigating to see if he had a gun. Then she saw he didn't have a gun, but that wasn't enough. She had to get his ID. After she did that, she still arrested him. So I don't understand how this wasn't addressed previously, but let's see the rest of this. But
all right, Mr. Hodges, was that hard?
It's gonna be. I want your name and your badge number. You know what? Put him in jail for resisting.
Okay. All right, let's go.
I want your name and badge number too, sir.
Hodges is then placed in the back of a squad car.
You want to pull this out of my back pocket?
Sure. Here, I'll grab your jacket for you too.
The Columbia County Sheriff's Office released a statement saying Sheriff Mark Hunter is, quote, troubled by what he has seen in the video, and the matter is being addressed.
But the matter obviously wasn't addressed because she was still on the force, still being tyrannical, because now she's in a deposition for sticking a canine on somebody. So what does the mayor have to say now?
An administrative investigation into the incident began on November 3rd, when officials say they were made aware of the situation. The statement also reads in part, quote, if policy violations are sustained at the conclusion of that investigation, appropriate action will be taken. Law and Crime Network reached out to the Columbia County Sheriff's Office for additional comment, but were told to refer to the online statement. For the latest developments in this story and all things true crime, stay with Law.
Ending with a police canine mauling the driver, the incident raising a lot of questions.
What they just did, based on their actions, based on the video, based on the reports, they violated every policy that they have.
These are some of the pictures of the driver who was mauled by the police dog. He's 23-year-old Martinez Bowman. His injury is so severe we had to blur the images. News4JAX reporter Eric Abney is joining us live from outside the law offices of attorney John Phillips.
Eric Phillips is now representing Bowman.
Yes, and he plans to file a lawsuit against the Columbia County Sheriff's Office on the grounds of excessive force that he says his client endured at the hands of that deputy. And according to our crime and safety expert, it's going to be very difficult for the sheriff's office to defend the actions of that canine deputy.
No. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
You just heard the audio from dashcam video provided to News4JAX from attorney John Phillips. In the video, we hear a Columbia County Sheriff canine deputy deploy his dog on 23-year-old Martinez Bowman during a traffic stop over a tail light that was out. Moments prior to the deployment of the dog, Bowman didn't immediately stop, but he did slow down and drove into his driveway, which he says wasn't far from where the deputy got behind him. News4JAX crime and safety expert Ken Jefferson says it's not uncommon for people to do this when they have doubts about the traffic stop or don't feel safe.
It's apparent that he's not trying to elude them or trying to get away from them, but there's chatter among the officers saying he's probably going to run or he may run. So now they've got a preconceived notion of what he's going to do.
Meaning the deputy is already treating this as a felony stop. Remember, this is about a tail light that was out, an offense that typically results in either a citation or a warning.
He stops the car, the officer is giving him commands, and he's having a concern about being shot.
The concern comes from the fact that after his car is stopped, deputies get out of their patrol vehicle with their guns drawn, as seen in this video.
Put your hands out the window!
You gonna shoot me? So I definitely felt like I was gonna die.
Jefferson says when an officer gives you a command during a traffic stop, you should always follow the commands. But he also says this incident was not treated as a typical stop for a tail light that was out, but rather a felony takedown with their guns drawn and a recorded statement by the deputies saying Bowman may try to run.
What made them feel threatened to pull their guns out and try to extract this person out of the car at gunpoint?
The deputy yells at Bowman to walk backward towards him. His hands are up, but Bowman was still allegedly facing the deputy when the canine was deployed. causing severe injuries to Bowman's leg that required multiple surgeries.
The compelling question is, was the K9 necessary to attack this individual? Was he running away? Doesn't appear to be. Was he aggressive towards the officer? Doesn't appear to be.
Now, Jefferson went on to say that based on the video and the offense report that he read, the sheriff's office is going to have to really work hard at trying to restore trust with the community, especially the African-American community in that county. And it's also worth mentioning that Bowman was never charged. So despite everything you saw and everything you heard, he was never charged with a crime in that incident. Now, we did reach out to the Columbia County Sheriff's Office for comment, but they have declined to make any statements because there is a pending lawsuit. Reporting live, Eric Avignon, Channel 4.
Okay, so that's the same officer involved in arresting a blind man for walking across the street, pretty much, is involved in this situation. And now we're gonna go ahead and play the deposition for this case. She should have been off the streets already. I don't know. That's the thing. Since they don't do anything about the tyrants, they still are on the streets to continue to be tyrannical and terrorize people. And just look at her in this deposition.
Jamie Cody. This is the video recorded deposition of Officer Jamie Cody in the matter of Martinez Bowman versus Mark A. Hunter et al., case number 3:22, CV 545 MMH MCR. This deposition is being held at Scribe Associates Incorporated, located at 121 Southeast Hernando Avenue in Lake City, Florida. Today's date is April 14th, 2023, and the time is 2:37 p.m. The court reporter is Ingrid Cox. My name is R.L. Minnick. I'm the videographer. Would counsel please introduce themselves, and the court reporter please swear in the witness.
Amy Hanna for the plaintiff.
Dawn Whitehurst, attorney with Sniffen and Spellman, and I'm here on behalf of the defendants.
Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony about to give in this cause should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Officer Goody. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I believe we've met before.
It's just crazy that they'll make that oath, swear with their right hand up, and then continue to lie after that. I'm 100% sure she's about to lie after that. After taking that oath, after swearing to tell the truth, she about to lie.
But I'm Amy Hanna. I'm one of the attorneys for Martinez Bowman relating to the traffic stop stemming from October 23rd, 2020. Can you state your full name for the record?
Jamie Lee Goody.
Okay. And where are you currently employed?
The Columbia County Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you been with Columbia County Sheriff's Office?
About 2.5 years now.
Okay. Prior.
And within these first 2 years that she's been employed, she's violated the rights of several citizens already. Within the 2 years she started, she's just been terrorizing, violating rights left and right, and she's still on the force. What is going on?
Prior to Columbia County Sheriff's Office, where were you employed in a law enforcement or correctional officer capacity?
The Florida Department of Corrections.
And when did you
Imagine her as a correctional officer. Crazy.
Begin employment with them?
I believe it was March of 2016 to 2020. I'm not sure the date exactly.
And what was your role with the Florida Department of Corrections while you were employed there?
I was a probation officer.
And you held the same position the entire time?
At one point, I promoted to senior probation officer.
What is the difference in the duties between probation officer and senior probation officer?
You supervise a different caseload of offenders. So regular probation officer would be basic felony probation. And when I promoted to senior probation officer, I supervised community control.
Okay. And so describe kind of a day in the life of working as a probation officer? What were your duties while you were employed there?
ensuring the compliance of the offender's probation orders.
Listen to that answer. She ensuring compliance. That's all she's thinking about. People must comply and listen to what you got to say. And the fact that she was dealing with people on probation, she's taking that same attitude onto the street and are treating everybody like they're on probation and they have to listen to everything she have to say, have to do whatever she says. Complete tyrant. She comes from a position where she got to run wild as a tyrant and then get to the street and try to do the same thing.
And then why did you leave the Florida Department of Corrections and come to Columbia County Sheriff's Office?
I just decided to switch careers.
Okay.
I don't believe that something is up with that within itself. She didn't just decide to come on now. No, I can't believe nothing she say.
In October 23rd of 2020, what was your rank or level within the Columbia County Sheriff's Office?
I was a trainee.
Okay. And so do you know what month you joined Columbia County Sheriff's Office?
August of 2020.
Okay. And so when you joined, did you have to complete any training prior to joining?
I completed yes.
What training did you complete?
The Law Enforcement Academy.
And how long was that?
I believe 10 months.
Okay. And then following your employment with Columbia County Sheriff's Office, what training did you?
So 10 months and she got out there and still had no idea of what she's supposed to be doing.
Go through.
The FTO, Field Training Officer Program.
And how long is that program?
Approximately 3 months. It varies.
And why would it vary?
For example, if you're extended in a certain phase, or you're given approximately 30 days for each phase, but if they believe you could use more training in that certain phase, you just get a little bit longer.
And did you have a direct supervisor over you while you were in the field training program?
Correct.
And who is that?
So in each phase, there's a different FTO.
Okay, so let's talk about phase one. Who was the FTO in phase one?
Zach Skinner.
And what is his rank within Columbia County Sheriff's Office?
He's now a corporal.
And under the training, what did the training in phase one consist of?
Just learning the job, radio traffic, speaking on the radio, and learning directions.
What do you mean by learning directions?
Like navigating the county.
Okay. So you didn't conduct any traffic stops or searches or anything like that?
Not that I recall.
Okay. So phase one's almost administrative, fair?
Introductory.
Okay. And I think you indicated you were in training in phase one for 30 days?
I believe phase one was a little longer than 30 days.
Okay. Approximately how long did you train in phase one?
45 days.
Okay. And following phase one, who is your supervisor for phase two?
David Harvey.
And how long were you in training in phase two for, approximately?
30 days.
Okay. Any longer than 30 days?
Not that I recall.
And was Harvey your field training officer the entirety of phase two training?
Yes.
Okay. What did training in phase two consist of?
That's when you learn to do traffic stops.
And what training specifically do you undergo in phase two as it relates to traffic stops?
Conducting traffic stops.
Okay. And so are you yourself conducting the traffic stops and you have Harvey riding along with you, or how does it work?
So first, Deputy Harvey would show me how to conduct the traffic stops, and later in the phase, I would conduct them myself.
Okay. And so in the beginning of phase 2.
So she was trained to be a tyrant, because from what she's saying, she's following her training. So they trained her to be a tyrant and to violate citizens. That's why she violated the blind man and arrested him when it made absolutely no sense to arrest him. She just wanted to gain compliance. She wanted him to give up his rights and just do anything she say, even though she had no lawful authority over him at that time. She just tried to impose herself. Then fast forward, they didn't do anything about her then, and now she's in a case for sicking the canine on somebody who was not a threat to her, not trying to run away, not trying to do any of that. She just, it just makes no sense. And this wouldn't have happened if they had done something about her actions previously.
To essentially you're just kind of riding along with the field training officer, learning how traffic stops work.
Correct.
Okay. At what point in phase 2 were you conducting your own traffic stops?
I don't recall.
Okay. And when you're conducting your own traffic stops in phase 2, is Harvey in the car with you?
Yes.
Okay. Any other training aside from these ride-alongs that you underwent as far as learning how to conduct a traffic stop?
I mean, what we went through in the academy.
Okay. Any policies or procedures through Columbia County Sheriff's Office? Courses?
So there is traffic procedure that, I mean, I don't know it by heart, but there is procedures pertaining to traffic. And we complete annual training that would be in my file.
But at the time that you're in phase 2, had you completed that annual training?
I completed some of it. Well, yes.
Okay. And so is it a course?
There are courses online, yes.
Okay. And so is it something where you sit and complete the entirety of the course at the end of the year, or is it certain classes that add up to so many credits?
It would be a part of the annual training that we conduct every year.
Okay. And so describe for me the annual training process that you go through.
So through Police One, there's certain courses that are required each year.
You said through Police One. What is Police One?
It's our training website.
Okay. And does Columbia County Sheriff's Office require you to complete any traffic training courses while you're in phase 2?
Not specifically in phase 2.
Okay. And so outside of watching Officer Harvey conduct traffic stops, there's no other courses or policies or procedures that you reviewed as it pertains to traffic stops while you were training within phase 2?
I don't recall the dates that I've reviewed policies, but the policies that I have reviewed are signed and documented in our Power DMS.
And are you talking about just general policies of Columbia County Sheriff's Office when you were employed?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there like a review or like grading or feedback sheets that Harvey or perhaps his supervisors give you as it pertains to your training in phase 2?
Yes. Go ahead.
What are they?
So every day that we have training, they complete, I don't know the name of it, but they complete a form about what we did that day.
And do they keep those forms within your file?
I'm not sure.
Do you know the name?
Name of?
The form?
I don't recall the name of the form. It just has to do with field FTO.
Okay. Do you know the contents of the form, what it states?
There are different sections because there are different like objectives for each day. So it asks like whether we meet the objective, what we could work on, and feedback.
And so what were some of those objectives within phase 2?
I honestly don't recall.
Okay. Did you have to sign those forms?
Yes, ma'am.
And who else signed the forms?
The FTO.
Okay. And then in turn, Harvey being your FTO for phase 2, did he turn that in to any of his supervisors or anyone with Columbia County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, ma'am.
And who is that?
It'd be the training sergeant, Sean Sykes.
What was the name?
Sergeant Sean Sykes.
Sykes?
I believe it's Sikes.
And so following phase 2, who did you train with in phase 3?
Chris Hadley.
And what did the training in phase 3 consist of?
It's basically preparing you to get on your own, handling calls without the trainer.
And so phase 3, you're essentially on your own in a patrol vehicle responding to calls for service?
No,
okay.
They're still in the vehicle with us.
Okay. And so what is the difference between phase 2 and phase 3?
Phase 2 focuses a lot on traffic stops, and phase 3 is more preparing you for the entire job without someone holding your hand.
Okay. And so what are some examples of calls that you would be training or preparing for in phase 3 that you would otherwise not train or prepare for in phase 2?
There's no difference. You still go to all the calls.
Okay. And so if Harvey's dispatched for a call in phase 2 that's not necessarily related to a traffic stop, would you still ride along?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so I'm trying to figure out what specifically training or what's new in between phase 2 and phase 3, if anything.
It's just the gaining of independence. Like, I don't recall the specific training. The FTO is still speaking a lot to the complainants and people. Phase 2, you start working up to doing it more yourself, but in your free time, you're focusing on traffic stops. And then in phase 3, you're preparing to be on your own. So you're trying to handle everything by yourself while your FTO is in the background as backup.
Okay. And how long did you conduct training for phase 3?
30 days.
Okay. Were there any areas of improvement needed while you were in phase 2?
I don't recall.
Okay. Is your field training officer the officer with the final say as to whether areas of improvement are needed?
I don't know.
And same question as far as phase 3, did you have to fill out some or sign off on some worksheet or form at the end of each day?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it the same form as far as content?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you recall any of the objectives specifically in phase 3?
I do not.
Can you tell me some of the things that you learned in regards to conducting traffic stops as part of your training in phase 2?
Can you be more specific?
I think you had previously testified that you don't recall the specific objectives that you were learning in phase 2, but can you give me some examples of what you were taught as far as how to conduct a traffic stop while training in phase 2?
I learned the difference between a passenger and a driver's side approach.
Tell me about that.
You have a different viewpoint from the passenger side than you do on the driver's side. You can see more into the vehicle.
What?
Are you talking about?
She said she learned the difference between a passenger side and a driver's side approach, and she went into it, and her way of elaborating on that is saying you can see different angles in the car. Like, come on now.
About the passenger versus driver side of the officer responding to the scene or the call?
No, ma'am. I mean, if I approach the driver's side of the vehicle or the passenger side of the vehicle.
Okay. And what else?
I'm not really sure.
Okay. Do you recall receiving any training as it pertains to felony stops while in phase 2 of your training?
Not like a specific documented, like online training. I don't recall anything like that. But I do, like on shift, I remember them trying to show me before a felony stop. Like as a shift, we would just practice certain things like building clearing, and then felony stops, just to get people more familiar with how to do them.
Okay, so part of the training in phase 2 wasn't necessarily conducting real traffic stops with citizens, but also with other officers within Columbia County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what is the ratio of real-time traffic stops versus conducted traffic stops?
I couldn't tell you.
What, were you assigned to a specific zone or shift while in phase 2?
I was on Bravo shift.
What's Bravo shift mean?
So there's 4 different shifts.
Okay.
For patrol. Alpha and Bravo work one day, Charlie and Delta work the other days. And I had just happened to be assigned to Bravo shift because my FTO was on that shift. So.
And what days of the week and what hours did you work under the Bravo shift?
So it's a rotating schedule. So for example, if we work Monday, Tuesday, we'd be off Wednesday, Thursday, and then work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then vice versa the next week. Does that make sense?
So I guess 5 days a week.
It depends because it's the 12-hour shifts.
So 12-hour days.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you trained to exit your vehicle with your weapon drawn when conducting a traffic stop?
was trained to draw my weapon if I was conducting a felony traffic stop.
And what is it that takes a normal traffic stop to a felony traffic stop based on your training and experience?
It depends on the circumstances. There's several different reasons.
Okay, can you give me some examples?
Okay, so failure to stop. So if I'm conducting a traffic stop and the vehicle fails to stop.
Fails to stop, not takes longer than you want to stop.
I would continue to turn on my sirens and go through the different siren patterns. If they continue to fail to stop, that would be a felony traffic stop. For example, if we have reason to believe that there's a weapon inside of the vehicle, I would conduct a felony traffic stop.
None of those factors were in this case that she is involved in right now, what she's being sued for. None of those factors. The car did stop, and there was no reason to believe that a firearm was in the car. And even if it was a firearm in the car, we have the Second Amendment, so anybody can have a firearm in the car. Why does that automatically turn it into a felony stop when it's not a felony to have a gun?
Any other reasons?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. And so you indicated if there's a failure to stop, it escalates from a normal traffic stop to a felony traffic stop, and that you would use different siren patterns. What did you mean by using different siren patterns?
So when I conduct a traffic stop, initially I turn on my emergency lights. And if they initially fail to stop, I turn on the first siren pattern to further indicate to them to pull over. If they continue to fail to stop, I would go to the next one. There are several different siren patterns to further attempt to get their attention. So it's a different sound.
How many siren patterns total are there?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Have you ever used more than the first siren pattern in conducting a traffic stop while employed with Columbia County Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
Okay. And how many different siren patterns have you used in conducting a stop while employed?
I'm familiar with going through at least 3.
And you don't know how many total there are?
I can't say for sure.
Okay. So what is the difference between pattern 1, 2, and 3?
Just a different sound.
Okay. Is the volume increased at all?
I don't believe so.
Is it more frequent?
It's just kind of more annoying, is what it sounds like, in my opinion.
Okay.
So she testified that she knows that police sirens are annoying.
This is going to sound like a silly question, but do they sound more urgent, or are they moving faster as each pattern progresses?
I believe so.
So almost, is it attempting to signal to a citizen like, I better pull over?
Yes.
Okay. What would give you reason to believe that the individual in the vehicle had a weapon?
I don't know what's in the vehicle.
Okay. And so part of this stop escalating from a traffic stop to a felony traffic stop, one of those reasons was you having reason to believe that there may be a weapon in the vehicle, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Now I know what you're talking about. So, for example, there was an altercation with someone using a weapon and then fleeing in the vehicle.
Anything else?
If we've stopped them several times, say we've stopped that vehicle several times and there have been known to be weapons in that vehicle.
And you say known to be weapons in that vehicle, these individuals were charged with some type of weapons charge as a result of the stop?
Yes.
So you can essentially pull up their criminal history?
Yes.
And is that done by running the tag?
Essentially.
Okay. Any other indications that would give you reason to believe that there's a weapon in the vehicle?
Again, not off the top of my head.
Okay. Had you worked with Officer Harvey prior to the evening of October 23rd, 2020?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you recall if you had completed any training in phase 2 prior to October 23rd, 2020?
I don't know.
Okay. And is it, you don't know because I'm referencing just a date, or if I rephrase it as, had you worked with Officer Harvey prior to Martinez Bowman's arrest? Do you recall?
I don't. Can I? Okay, sorry. In phase 1, I was on a separate shift, so I wasn't working with Deputy Harvey. The night of October 23rd was my first assigned day with Deputy Harvey.
Okay, that's what I was getting at. Have you ever worked with a canine before October 23rd, 2020?
No, ma'am.
Have you ever had any training with a canine prior to October 23rd, 2020?
No, ma'am.
Have you ever met Drago prior to October 23rd, 2020?
No, ma'am.
Did you know that Officer Harvey was a canine handler at the time that you started phase 2 training?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I have Columbia County Sheriff's Office General Order titled Traffic Law Enforcement, 42.2. Do you have a copy?
I do.
And we'll mark this as Plaintiff's Exhibit 1. take a look at that and tell me if you had received a copy of that or reviewed that prior to entering your training in phase 2.
So I'm familiar with the document. I cannot tell you if I received it before or not. It would be in my training documentation, I believe.
Have you had any communications with, I'll come back to it, with Officer Harvey regarding this incident following it occurring?
No.
Did you have any conversations with Officer Harvey regarding the criminal trial in this
Not
case?
that I recall.
Did you have any conversations with any of your supervisors or anyone else within Columbia County Sheriff's Office regarding this incident?
No, ma'am.
Were you ever subject to any discipline as a result of this incident?
I don't believe so.
Were you responsible for completing any of the police reports as it pertained to this incident?
No.
Were you responsible for completing any of the probable cause affidavits related to this incident?
No, ma'am.
Did you have any communications with the state attorney's office pertaining to this incident?
For the criminal trial, yes.
Okay. I don't want you to tell me about that. Have you watched the dash cam video prior to coming here today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you watch it last?
This morning.
Okay. Walk me through Did you come to recognize Martinez Bowman's vehicle with alleged taillights out?
I did recognize the vehicle.
Okay. Did you recognize the vehicle because you had pulled the vehicle over or interacted with that vehicle before?
No.
Okay, so you recognized it solely by taillights?
Yes.
Okay. Was there a conversation between you and Deputy Harvey as far as there's a vehicle traveling without taillights, let's stop it?
Yes.
Okay. And so between you and Officer Harvey, who was the first officer to notice the taillights?
Deputy Harvey.
Okay. And tell me about the communication to stop the vehicle, if any, prior to initiating the traffic stop.
Deputy Harvey wanted to show me the correct way to complete a traffic stop.
Okay.
So we were looking for a vehicle.
Okay. And did you guys discuss the procedure for how to conduct a traffic stop, or did he just automatically begin to conduct the traffic stop?
We discussed it.
Okay, and tell me about that discussion.
I don't recall verbatim.
By the time your vehicle is directly behind Mr. Bowman's vehicle, he is already initiating his turn on Gerson Lane, correct?
Object to the form.
I don't recall the exact moment we were behind the vehicle.
Okay. Do you recall whether or not Harvey activated his sirens before Mr. Bowman had completed his turn on Gerson Lane?
I do not.
Would you defer to Officer Harvey's memory as to whether or not he initiated the sirens before or after Mr. Bowman turned on Gerson Lane?
I'm not sure what you mean.
So You're not sure whether or not the sirens were activated before Mr. Bowman had completed his turn, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so would you defer to Officer Harvey's recollection as to whether or not the sirens were activated when Mr. Bowman had completed his turn on Gerson Lane?
I believe you just repeated what you said, so I still don't understand.
Okay. So you specifically don't recall whether or not the sirens were activated before or after he completed the turn?
Correct.
Okay. And so if Officer Harvey has a recollection as to whether or not the sirens were activated before or after he completed his turn, would you defer to Officer Harvey's recollection?
Defer meaning like trust his recollection? Absolutely.
Okay. And so did Officer Harvey change the siren sounds at any point during the traffic stop?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how many times did he change the siren pattern?
I don't recall exactly.
Do you know about how long you traveled down Gerson Lane prior to Mr. Bowman coming to a stop?
1,000 feet.
Have you traveled down Gerson Lane before?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How many times?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay. And does Gerson Lane take you back out to a highway, or is it a U-turn at the end of the road? Tell me what's at the end of the road.
So Gerson Lane comes to a T, but where Mr. Bowman turned into, that is a little neighborhood. That's technically that road goes back to the same T road. I don't recall the name of it.
Okay. And that T road, is that also a neighborhood?
It's all in that same neighborhood.
Okay. Was he speeding down Gerson?
No.
Was he driving erratically?
No.
Was he throwing things out the window?
No.
Did you notice passengers in the vehicle as you guys were traveling down Gerson Lane?
No.
You did not?
As I was traveling down Gerson Lane, I did not know what was in the vehicle.
Did he make any evasive maneuvers?
No.
Did he swerve?
No.
Did he hit anything?
No.
Did he attempt to cause a crash into Officer Harvey's vehicle?
No. But he failed to stop.
Do you recall him turning on his blinker before initiating his left-hand turn?
I do.
Okay. And after initiating the blinker and completing the turn, what did he do next?
He threw the door open.
Okay. And did he throw the door open while the vehicle was moving?
Yes.
Okay. And did he stop the vehicle?
Eventually.
Okay. Did he stop on his own, or was he stopped by Officer Harvey or yourself?
He stopped the vehicle on his own.
Okay. Did he attempt to flee on foot?
No.
At what point did you notice the other passengers in the vehicle?
When he flung the door open.
Okay. And did you notice how many passengers were in the vehicle?
I couldn't tell.
Okay. Did you notice at that time any of those passengers moving around inside the vehicle or throwing anything outside of the vehicle?
I couldn't tell because the windows were tinted.
Okay. Did those passengers attempt to flee on foot?
No.
Okay. Did those passengers attempt to get in the driver's seat and drive the vehicle away?
Again, I couldn't see inside the vehicle.
But you know that the vehicle wasn't driven away, correct?
The vehicle was in front of me.
Okay. Did he make any overt movements or actions that would make you think that he was going to flee?
He continuously moved in and out of the vehicle. He made several unknown movements.
Okay. And tell me about that.
Which part?
His movements into the vehicle.
Okay. He continuously reached into the vehicle, which we couldn't see. So I don't know what he was reaching for. I don't know what was in the vehicle at that point. And then he would reach back out, shout something at us, and continuously go back and forth.
Okay. And when he reached back into the vehicle, what parts of his body reached into the vehicle or were inside of the vehicle when he did that?
From my line of sight, it looked like his entire body. I didn't have a clear line of sight of him because of the vehicle.
Okay. And so you didn't have a direct line of sight of Mr. Bowman following your exit of the vehicle?
I could see his torso up. I could not see his legs.
Okay. I think in the video you called over to dispatch 1050 or 1050.
Okay. I believe Deputy Harvey did that part.
Okay. What does that mean?
1050 is a traffic stop.
Okay. And so what are you alerting to dispatch with that signal or code?
That we're conducting a traffic stop.
Okay. And so do you have to alert dispatch if a traffic stop is escalating into a felony traffic stop?
Yes, which we did by saying that they were continuing down Gerson.
Okay. And is there a code that you would relay to dispatch to alert them that a felony traffic stop is being done?
No, he said felony stop.
Okay. Did you?
So she thought she was slick right there when the lawyer asked that question. We're gonna back it up just a little bit and listen to her answer to the question.
No, he said
alert them that
yes, which we did by saying that they were
dispatch with that signal or code.
That we're conducting a traffic stop.
Okay. And so do you have to alert dispatch if a traffic stop is escalating into a felony traffic stop?
Yes, which
yes, they have to do it. And she said it was done because they let them know that they continue to follow them. So like, no, what she's saying is this was a misstep on their behalf because they didn't report it as a felony stop, but she is saying that they should assume that it was a felony stop based on them saying that they continued to follow them. That's weird.
Which we did by saying that they were continuing down Gerson.
Okay. And is there a code that you would relay to dispatch to? Did you run the tags of the vehicle?
I did.
Okay. And was that done while you were traveling down Gerson Lane?
Yes.
And what did the search of the tags reveal?
I don't recall.
Okay. Did the search of the tag reveal that Mr. Bowman had any prior criminal history?
It didn't. We didn't check.
Did a search of the tag reveal that the vehicle was stolen?
I already told you I didn't recall what the run of the tag revealed, so I don't recall.
Okay. Did the run of the tag give you reason to believe that the vehicle was just used in the commission of a felony?
I don't recall.
Okay. Did a run of the tag reveal who the owner of the car was?
It would have. I don't recall who it was.
Okay. Following Mr. Bowman completing his stop, who instructed you to exit the vehicle with your weapon drawn?
Deputy Harvey.
Okay. And when did he instruct you to do that?
When he said the words felony stop.
And do you recall specifically what he said to you?
Felony stop.
Okay, so him saying the words felony stop alerts you that you're to exit the vehicle with your weapon drawn.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so when did you learn that an officer stating that a felony stop was being conducted, that that's how you're supposed to proceed?
The exact date, I'm not sure. That's how we've been trained from the academy.
Okay, so it was training from the academy, not specifically under phase 1 or phase 2 with Columbia County Sheriff's Office?
It was from the academy, which was reciprocated through my training in FTO.
Did a run of the tag reveal that Mr. Bowman had any outstanding warrants?
Again, I don't recall.
Or that the owner of the vehicle had any outstanding warrants?
We didn't run the owner of the vehicle. We did not run the owner of the vehicle at that time. We only ran the tag.
Okay. And so if a run of a tag reveals that there is an outstanding warrant, or that the vehicle was used in the commission of a felony, or perhaps there's an individual like you testified to earlier that has a history of being pulled over and having weapons in the vehicle, is that something that would have been notified to dispatch?
Just by running the tag?
Mm-hmm.
So, no. Typically, when I run a tag, we will then run the registered owner. We did not have time in this instance to run the registered owner at that time.
Okay. But a run of a tag would have alerted you to any warrants or that the vehicle was just used in the commission of a crime, correct?
It could give an indication, yes.
Okay. And so if that indication was given, is that something that you're required to report to dispatch?
Dispatch would report that to me.
Okay. Well, so then vice versa. Dispatch would report to you that, hey, this vehicle was just used in the commission of a crime, or hey, we have reason to believe that this vehicle is stolen.
Yes.
And that's for purposes of officer safety, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so did dispatch report any of that to you during this traffic stop?
No.
Okay. Did you have any reason to believe that Mr. Bowman was armed?
I can't say. I don't know what was in the vehicle.
Okay. Did he ever threaten?
That means no. If it's either you assume everybody has a weapon, or like if you have no reason to believe, just say no. But she can't say no here because this is a deposition, and that wouldn't do good for her position here. That's why, you can tell in these situations that they just aren't honest. And that makes, no matter what they say, I don't believe their story at all.
You with a weapon?
No.
Did he threaten Officer Harvey with a weapon?
No, but he kept reaching in the vehicle.
Did he ever indicate to you that he had a weapon in the vehicle?
He didn't outly say it, but he kept reaching.
Okay. And did he indicate to Officer Harvey that he had a weapon in the vehicle?
No, but he kept reaching into the vehicle.
Did he indicate to you or Officer Harvey that he had a weapon on his person?
It was unknown.
Did he communicate that to you or Officer Harvey that he had a weapon on his person?
He did not say it, no.
Did you ask him if he had any weapons on himself or in the vehicle?
I did not have the opportunity to.
And
So what opportunity between you barking orders and having your guns drawn at him when you could have? I mean, what do you mean you didn't have the opportunity? There was nothing but space and opportunity. I hate when they say they don't have the opportunity to do something that would have made the situation better. Like, all you had to say, that's one of the first things they ask you. Do you have any weapons? What you mean you don't have the opportunity? You don't have the opportunity to ask such an important question when you got your guns drawn, ready to shoot somebody down. What do you mean you don't have the opportunity for that? You don't have the opportunity to ask them. What are you talking about? It's because you already barking other crazy orders that it's ridiculous. And all of this, y'all got to remember, all of this is because they had a tail light out. So all this turned in from him having a tail light out and not stopping right exactly when they wanted him to stop. Instead, he pulling it to an area where he felt safer. Crazy.
in conducting a traffic stop is asking a citizen whether or not they have a weapon on themselves or in the vehicle, something that you immediately ask following their license and registration?
I was unable to get Mr. Bowman's license, so I did not have the opportunity to ask him anything.
Okay, and I'm not talking about this incident in particular.
Okay.
I'm just asking about in general. When you're conducting a traffic stop, after asking for the individual's license or registration, is the next question normally, or within your training, do you have a weapon on yourself or in the vehicle?
It may not be the next question, but it is an option to question.
Okay. And are there certain scenarios where you would ask that question to one individual and not another?
No.
Okay. And so what is it that, strike that. Did you ever communicate with Mr. Bowman over the PA system in the vehicle?
No.
Was there a PA system installed in operation in the vehicle at the time?
It wasn't my vehicle. I don't know if it was operational.
But you certainly had, I guess, authority, or you could have communicated with Mr. Bowman over the PA system.
Object to the form.
Deputy Harvey was communicating with Mr. Bowman. There was no reason for me to interject.
Okay.
But she did.
Are you aware of, I'm going to go back to Plaintiff's Exhibit 1, but first I have to find my copy.
y'all, we're gonna catch the deposition of the officer who she's putting all this on right now. The officer that she's putting all this stuff on and saying it was his car and he's the one who initiated and all of that. We're gonna catch his deposition a little bit later. I just wanted to do hers first because she has a history of being a tyrant. I mean, look at her face now.
Okay. I don't have it, so we're going to share. But I want to take you to page Page 4, subsection K. Can you read that for me?
The deputy in command shall direct each occupant utilizing the public address system to exit the vehicle individually according to specific directions and into the appropriate search position, after which the approach may be made.
Okay. And did Officer Harvey in this traffic stop utilize the PA system?
He did not.
Okay. And at any point, did he or you order the other occupants of the vehicle out?
I did.
When did that happen?
When Deputy Harvey was detaining or placing Mr. Bowman in handcuffs.
She's trying to be real careful about her answers. That's to tell you something.
When you exited the vehicle, where did you take cover?
I stood near the passenger side front tire using the engine block.
Okay. Did Mr. Bowman respond to Officer Harvey's command to exit the vehicle?
I'm not sure because he was in and out of the vehicle.
But Martinez Bowman exited the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Was he arrested that night?
He was arrested and then released
that night.
Now, this is weird. Why does she bust into a smile right here? And it seemed like she didn't want to answer this question, but check this out.
Yes.
Okay. Was he arrested that night?
He was arrested and then released and charges were filed.
And what was he arrested for?
I don't know the exact charge to tell you right now.
You don't know the exact charge that you are in a deposition for right now? Come on. Come on. Who believes that? Who would believe that?
And what do you mean by he was released?
Due to his injuries, he needed medical treatment. And he was refusing treatment and needed to go to Gainesville. So we released him from the custody of the sheriff's office to seek further medical treatment.
Tell me what happened following Mr. Bowman stopping the vehicle and stepping out.
He began yelling at us, and Deputy Harvey began giving him loud verbal commands.
What was he yelling?
Which one?
Mr. Bowman, sorry.
I'm trying to recall at which point.
Oh my goodness, y'all can see it right here. This is what makes it so disgusting. It's the way that when they know that they're about to tell a lie, and oh my goodness, man. Come on.
Mr. Bowman, sorry.
Look here. What was he yelling? You say he was yelling a lot. What was he yelling?
I'm trying to recall at which point. Multiple times he said, "Come get me," or "You ain't gonna shoot me, bro." And at one point he said to send the dog, is what I recall.
That's what you recall.
And keep describing for me again what happened after Bowman making those comments as far the entirety of the remainder of the stop.
Okay, so
I don't know why she's acting like she didn't watch the video. They have dash cam footage and I think body cam footage of the incident happening that is really hard to see right now. I can't find that footage, seems like anywhere right now, except for a short news article about it. That's the only version of it that I can find. But why is she acting like she didn't have access to watch the entire video of the case that she's in a deposition for right now? Come on. Who believes that?
there was verbal interaction. Deputy Harvey was giving verbal commands, told him to turn away from us. Mr. Bowman would get back in the vehicle, lean back into the vehicle, and then back out, look at us, and Deputy Harvey would tell him turn away from us, step back towards me, and Mr. Bowman would, I can't remember at which time he said what, but there was multiple different times. You ain't gonna shoot me at my house. You're gonna have to come get me. And Deputy Harvey told Mr. Bowman, if you don't comply, I'm gonna send my dog. At which point he got the dog out of the vehicle, and he then says that this is your last warning, comply with my commands or I'm gonna send the dog. And Mr. Bowman says, send your dog, bro. And he gives the canine announcement and releases him.
Okay. And did you have...
I noticed that she had to shift herself to get the rest of this out. But man, this is terrible. This is terrible. You can see nothing about her says truthful. Nothing about her says honesty. Like, come on.
Keep going. So Harvey releases the dog. What happens next?
Drago apprehends Mr. Bowman, and Deputy Harvey moves forward to detain or place handcuffs on Mr. Bowman and release Drago. Simultaneously, I'm corresponding with the females, telling them to exit the vehicle, and I place one of them in handcuffs and move them away from the vehicle.
And did you approach the vehicle with your weapon drawn?
Initially, and then I put it away to cuff the females.
And did you order them out of the vehicle?
I don't recall. They were shaken up and moving towards exiting the vehicle anyway.
Okay. Did you have any... Strike that. Do you recall Harvey mentioning that he may have to conduct a pit maneuver?
No.
Okay.
believe her, man. I cannot believe her.
Did you take any steps to de-escalate the situation?
What we did was attempting to de-escalate the situation.
Okay. And what did you do specifically to attempt to de-escalate the situation?
So I remained with my firearm on the vehicle to maintain control. We had to gain control of the situation.
How does that de-escalate? She's asking her, how did you de-escalate the situation? What steps did you take to de-escalate the situation? And she says that she pointed her gun at, like, she pointed her gun to gain control. And that in her mind, she's answering the question of, what did you do to de-escalate? Y'all see how crazy this is?
Situation for it to de-escalate.
Okay. And so did you do anything?
How is aiming a gun at somebody de-escalating the situation? How is that de-escalating?
To attempt to de-escalate the situation?
We were attempting to gain control of the situation so that it would be de-escalated.
That's how they de-escalate it. They want to gain control over the situation, and that's how they de-escalate it. Come on. What is that? What answer is that? How can you, their thinking of de-escalation is gain control. So they feel like once they gain control, now the situation is de-escalated. Come on, man. Come on. That's not de-escalation.
Okay, so you just testified that you can't de-escalate the situation until you have control of the situation, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so did you do anything specifically to attempt to de-escalate the situation?
Yes, I attempted to gain control of the situation to de-escalate it.
And what did you do to attempt to gain control of the situation?
I maintained my firearm pointed at the vehicle.
That's hold on. I'm gonna let her go because I know she's about to say some foolishness. But their version is to gain control. Is that's how they de-escalate. And how she attempted to gain control was to aim her gun at it. She decided that she need to aim her gun at an unarmed man who was not fleeing, did not flee, and the whole reason you pulled him over was for a tail light being out. To de-escalate this situation, she needs to gain control, and she gains control by pointing her gun at somebody, and that's their process of de-escalation. That's why I love Deposition so much, because it reveals the psychology and the training that is installed in these robots
to de-escalate it.
And what did you do to attempt to gain control of the situation?
I maintained my firearm pointed at the vehicle while Deputy Harvey gave loud verbal commands. I maintained my position in the felony traffic stop.
Okay. And so is it your testimony that exiting your vehicle with your firearm drawn at a citizen is an attempt to de-escalate a situation?
It wasn't drawn at a citizen, it was pointed at the vehicle.
Okay. Pointing your weapon at a vehicle. Do you strike that?
So her gun wasn't pointed at a citizen, it was pointed at a vehicle. Why are you pointing at a vehicle? What, you gonna shoot the car? And then you hit somebody in the car. There's plenty of people in the car. So what sense does that make? How do you even formulate that response as an answer to the question you're being asked? Like it, oh my goodness, man. What? Is this, what are y'all thinking about this right now? You just drop it in the comment section. I'm gonna keep letting the video play, but drop it in the comment section to know, like, talk to me about this, y'all. Y'all got to talk to me about this.
Is it your testimony that pointing your weapon at a vehicle is an attempt to de-escalate a situation?
I was attempting to gain control of the situation to de-escalate the situation.
Are you trained on how to de-escalate situations?
Yes, we go through some sort of training.
Okay. What is the training called as it relates to de-escalation techniques?
I can't tell you. You can refer to my training file.
You don't recall a specific name of the training course?
Honestly, it's probably de-escalation, but no, I don't recall.
Okay. Do you recall what you learned as a part of that training course?
That you need to gain control of the situation.
Okay. And so what were you trained to do to de-escalate a situation?
I was trained to gain control of the situation so that we can move forward with de-escalating.
Okay, and so my question is not in relation to you gaining control of a situation. My question is, what specifically were you trained to do to attempt to de-escalate a situation?
I believe you want me to say to speak to them, but if they're not in compliance, I can't speak to anybody. I have to gain control of the situation. I have to meet someone at their level of resistance to.
Now, you see that now you can see what's going on, because she is, now that she said that, she said, I think that you want me to say you need to talk to them. The lawyer is just asking questions. She's not asking for specific answers. She's asking for an answer to the question. But if you're not answering the question, she has to ask you the question again until you actually answer her question. But she's thinking that she's trying to get her to say something, but the fact that she's thinking like that tells you a lot already.
To get them in compliance so that we can then de-escalate.
So I don't want you to testify as to what you think I want you to testify to. I want you to testify as to what you were trained to do to de-escalate a encounter with a citizen or a traffic stop, to de-escalate the situation.
Okay, I meet them at their level of resistance. Once they're in compliance, I de-escalate. Not disengage, but I lessen my. No, you got my words twisted up. I meet them at their level of resistance.
What do you mean by that?
Notice how she throws the blame on she throws blame at the lawyer asking her questions. Oh, you got me, you got me messing up with my words and stuff. Oh, I think you want me to say this. You see how everybody else is she's in a constant battle. Everybody else is the problem. She's in a constant battle, and that's why I love depositions, because eventually they start showing their personality. They start showing how their mind works or doesn't work. I love depositions for this. I'm gonna back this up a little bit, y'all.
Twisted up. I meet them.
What specifically were you trained to do to attempt to de-escalate a situation?
I believe you want me to say to speak to them, but if they're not in compliance, I can't speak to anybody. I have to gain control of the situation. I have to meet someone at their level of resistance to get them in compliance so that we can then de-escalate.
So I don't want you to testify as to what you think I want you to testify to. I want you to testify as to what you were trained to do to de-escalate a encounter with a citizen or a traffic stop to de-escalate the situation?
Okay. I meet them at their level of resistance. Once they're in compliance, I de-escalate. I not disengage, but I lessen my. Now you got my words twisted up. I meet them at their level of resistance.
What do you mean by that?
So, because we were conducting a felony traffic stop, I had to, it's training, I am trained to pull my weapon and remain in that position until there is compliance. So when there is compliance, I can then holster my firearm. Once the person is detained or the situation, that is when I would consider the situation under control. So once the situation's under control, I can then go downward. I don't have to have a firearm pointed at someone or at a vehicle when someone is detained.
Okay, and so what specifically, you kept going after you indicated you would meet their level of resistance. What else did you do? What else are you trained to do to de-escalate after you meet their level of resistance?
I'm going to object at this point. I think she's answered your question. Maybe she's not giving you what you want to hear, but I think she's answered your question.
He did not answer.
So your testimony was that you gained control of the situation, specifically as far as de-escalating a situation in order to, before we even get to that, in order to gain control, you talked about meeting their level of resistance.
Yes.
Okay. And so let's assume in a hypothetical scenario, you meet the individual's level of resistance. What do you do next? Or what are you trained to do next to attempt to de-escalate a situation?
Objection, ask and answer.
No, it's not. I love this lawyer. She's doing a great job by staying on track, staying focused, and not letting up.
Again, I feel like you're leading me to an answer.
You feel like she's leading you to an answer versus she just asked you a question. Answer the question. What do you do after you meet them at their level of resistance? What is next? So you can tell this officer is trying to hide something and doesn't. After what did they say? B management say the canned answers. After those run out, now she has to start thinking and saying stuff. And once she get out of that space, now she's not in control anymore. And she's trying, like, come on. Y'all, I know y'all see this. This is crazy. This is absolutely insane.
So are you trying to ask
is she trying to ask what? She's not trying to ask. She's already asked the question. You are just trying to avoid it. That's all that's happening right here.
What I do after, so I've met them at their level of resistance. What is my next step?
Exactly.
Or
that's exactly what she said. That's exactly what she said. That's exactly what she asked you. What are you confused about? But you're not confused. Come on now. Now she playing games. Now she playing games, and this is the time where they say you need to stop playing games, and that's all they do is play games. That's all they do.
What are you trained to do as far as that training course or program as far as de-escalation techniques? Because when you first testified, you kept going as to more de-escalation techniques, and I stopped you and interrupted you and sorry and said, what does that mean?
Okay.
So keep going after meeting their level of resistance. Was there more as far as de-escalation techniques that you're trained to do?
Same objection.
Once the situation's under control, there's no reason to go further. So again, your questions aren't making sense because I gave my answer. So I meet them at their level of resistance.
So now she's saying the question don't make sense. Now she's saying the question don't make sense. Come on now. That's not going to fly in the courtroom. That is not going to fly in the courtroom. It might fly in the deposition right here, but that's not going to fly in the courtroom. No way. This lawyer is she's making it so simple. What do you mean she not making sense by the question? You thinking that she's gonna lose herself, but she hasn't, and you can't follow along. I guess she doesn't have the mental capacity to keep up with what's going on past the coaching that she's already been given to certain questions that she was going to be asked. Now the lawyer has thrown her curveballs and she doesn't know how to handle it, because the simple question, the only question that she is needing to answer right now is, what is the next step after you meet them at their resistance, as you say? Then what? How do you de-escalate? She's asking you, how do you de-escalate? And the fact that she can't answer the question of how to de-escalate, she doesn't even remember the name of the training for de-escalation. She doesn't remember anything about de-escalation because it's not emphasized on de-escalation. This is why we deal with what we deal with when we're out there dealing with law enforcement, because law enforcement is supposed to be trained in de-escalation, but you can see that her training is, she doesn't remember anything about de-escalation. All she knows is gang control. And that says a lot. And that is why we see what we see when these videos come out. It's because they think like this.
If there's compliance, then the situation is de-escalated.
Okay, and so by compliance, you mean the individual is detained?
Object to the form.
It depends on the situation.
I'm not trying to ask you tricky questions or misleading questions. I'm just trying to understand. I'm not
Yes,
a
ma'am.
police officer, so I'm trying to understand what you're trained to do and de-escalation techniques. And so
Look, I love this lawyer. She the lawyer is so good, right? This lady, she look at the shift of body language. I know I'm stopping it a lot right now, but it's been getting crazy right here. Hold on, but I want y'all to catch every little detail about what's happening right now, because it's a lot. Now, watch her reaction when the lawyer responds to her, basically trying to, it seemed like she kind of attacking the lawyer. She didn't threw or tried to flip this on the lawyer several times by saying, "Oh, I think you're trying to lead me to say something that I shouldn't say. Oh, you're getting me to mix up my words. Oh, your questions are not making sense." She keep hitting at the lawyer, and the lawyer response is so beautiful right here.
just trying to. Okay, and so by compliance, you mean
Look how tight she is.
the individual is detained?
Object to the form.
It depends on the situation.
I'm not trying to ask you tricky questions or misleading questions. I'm just trying to understand. I'm not
Yes,
a
ma'am.
police officer, so I'm trying to understand what you're trained to do and de-escalation techniques. And so
Y'all saw that?
there's nothing else, and you're going to object, aside from gaining control of the situation and meeting resistance, that you're trained as far as de-escalation techniques in any encounter with a citizen.
Same objection.
Again, I can't say. I can't say what you're looking for.
It's a yes or no. I'm not trying to force you to give me an answer. I'm just trying to make the record clear and understand, because I feel as though I cut you off after you said meeting their level of resistance. And so I'm trying to reword the question to make it easier for you to understand, to be able to answer. Is there anything else that you're trained to do to de-escalate a situation in a traffic stop, aside from gaining control of the situation and meeting their resistance?
Object to the form.
No.
Okay.
Can we take a break when you get to a stopping
We
point?
can take a break.
Okay.
Okay, this includes video one. The time is 3:43 p.m.
I find it real. It's real funny that this is the breaking point. We still got more to go, but I find it real funny that this is the point where they decide to take a break and break this off. So now she's about to get some more coaching, and then they about to get back into it after the coaching session. Come on, man. What is this? What is going on here?
This is beginning of video two. The time is 3:48 p.m. We're on the break.
Did Officer Harvey take any steps to de-escalate the situation?
Giving loud verbal commands.
I'm sorry, y'all. Giving loud verbal commands is a part of de-escalation. What? When have you been able to de-escalate a situation by yelling at somebody? When? Come on, what?
Did you have the authority to stop the release of Canine Drago?
No.
Would you have been allowed to interject and suggest to Harvey not to release Canine Drago?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay. And so your testimony is you had no authority to de-escalate or stop the situation?
I had no authority when it comes to Canine Drago.
You're the supporting officer on the scene, correct?
I'm the backup, yes.
Okay, so you're the backup officer on the scene, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so your testimony is that you had no authority to de-escalate or stop the situation?
I'm trying to think of, it's kind of a two-part question.
Okay. Did you have authority to de-escalate the situation?
At that time, no.
Did you have authority to stop the situation from occurring?
No.
Okay. Did you have authority to intervene in the situation?
No.
Okay. And so your testimony is that as the backup officer, you had no authority to intervene, de-escalate, or stop the situation?
As a trainee backup officer, no, I did not.
Now she want to throw that in there. Oh, as a trainee. No. No.
What in your position as a training officer would prevent you from de-escalating or intervening in a situation?
Object to the form.
So I had no place to, I trusted Deputy Harvey's authority.
Okay. And so were you ever instructed by Officer Harvey not to intervene, de-escalate, or stop a situation?
I was allowed to give my opinion.
Okay. And were you ever given any policies or procedures by Columbia County Sheriff's Office that as supporting officer, you were not allowed to de-escalate, intervene, or stop a situation from occurring?
Object to the form.
I'd like to clarify that I was a trainee in this situation and we called for backup.
Okay, so your previous testimony.
Wow. So now she's trying to lean on the fact that she's a trainee. we're gonna take a second right here and look at her, because I know some people weren't here at the beginning of this stream, and at the beginning of the stream, I showed her arresting this blind man for his walking stick. So this is the same officer in the deposition. Look how she treats this interaction right here. Then we're gonna get back to it. Look how she treats this situation.
What's this in your back pocket? I just saw you walking it.
It's a navigational aid. What's the problem? You a tyrant?
Shocking body camera video shows deputies arrest a legally blind man walking back from jury duty with a walking stick.
What's your name and date of birth?
I don't have to give that unless
Yes, sir. I was investigating.
You have reasonable.
Do you want me to put you in handcuffs right now? Yes, sir, I do.
It happened on October 31st in Columbia County, Florida. Body camera video shows deputies interacting with 61-year-old James Hodges, who is carrying a walking stick in his back pocket. According to the video, responding deputies at first believed it was a gun.
What is your suspicion?
It looks like you're carrying a gun in your back pocket. I'm stopping to make sure you're carrying it properly. You don't have
you
to...
ensured that it's not a firearm?
No, you keep turning so I can't see it. You don't have to be a to me.
Well, you're being one to me.
Video shows Hodges refusing to give out his name, date of birth, or ID card. He then calls for the responding deputy's supervisor.
No, sir, I'm doing my job.
Am I detained?
Yeah, you are. What's your name and date of birth?
It does not matter.
Yes, sir, it does.
Do you have a crime?
Would you like me
Call
to
your
put you in here?
supervisor,
He's right
please.
here.
The supervising deputy again asks for Hodges' ID, but he refuses.
What she stopped you for? For a walking stick.
So,
and it could look like a weapon. She asked you to really present it, okay? Now she's asking me for ID. Okay? I don't need the ID unless there's reasonable articulated suspicion that I have committed a crime, am committing a crime, or about to do a crime. Sir, and her suspicion was that you were armed, okay? And she's asking you for your ID. Well, now she has verified that I am not armed, okay? So there is no problem. You have your ID or not? I do have my ID, but you don't need it.
After that, Hodges is handcuffed. That's when Hodges confirms that he is legally blind and carries the navigational aid to help him when walking. He also tells deputies he was stopped while walking back from jury duty.
Sir, are you legally blind? Yes, I am. Okay. I had to walk up here in the dark for jury duty, which was canceled. Why aren't you using your stick? You don't have to use your stick all the time? Not all the time.
After Hodges' ID card is retrieved, the supervising officer orders he be taken into custody for resisting an officer and obstruction.
all right, Mr. Hodges. Was that hard?
It's gonna be. I want your name and your badge number. You know, I put him in jail for resisting.
Okay.
Look at that.
All right, let's go.
So as you can see, she is like this because her sergeant is like this, and probably the lieutenant is like this, and all the way at the top, it's all the way at the top. They're probably like this, and this is why she is the way she is, because she was backed up on this madness. Let's get back to this deposition. But I just want to show y'all this is the same officer, the same one.
When he was that you were a backup officer.
Okay, I was a trainee. Technically, I was backing him up, yes, but I was a trainee. We called for further backup, for further assistance. He was trying to teach me what to do at the same time.
Okay. And so, is there anything in your position as a trainee that would prevent you from giving your opinion?
In this situation, can I say strike that?
No, you can't.
Can you repeat the question?
You can't ask your questions either. Can you read back my question? I'm sorry.
Okay, and so is there anything in your position as a trainee that would prevent you from giving your opinion?
Respect, yes.
Do you believe that there are alternative ways that this traffic stop could have been handled by Officer Harvey?
Object to the form.
No.
Who called for medical personnel following the fight?
Initially, Deputy Harvey, followed by Sergeant Harrison.
Okay. And who called for backup?
Deputy Harvey told me to, and then I relayed it over the radio.
Okay. And how long following the fight did strike that? Who arrived on scene as backup?
First was Sergeant Harrison.
And who else?
Basically all of Bravo shift. I don't recall what order anyone arrived in.
And you don't have to tell me the exact order, but who else arrived on the scene?
Deputy Nash, Corporal Busby, Corporal Green, Deputy Hadley.
Wait, you're going too fast.
Sorry.
So Sergeant Harrison.
Yes, ma'am.
Corporal Nash, what's his first name?
Just Deputy Nash, James Nash.
Okay, who's the next person? And not in any particular
okay.
order, just who arrived that you can recall.
Corporal, at that time it was Corporal Scott Busby. He's now a sergeant. Corporal Josh Green, also sergeant. Chris Hadley.
Who is he? What was his role again? I think you mentioned him previously.
Chris Hadley was one of my FTOs.
Okay.
And he had trainee Jepko.
What was the name?
Jepko, Jepko. I believe his first name is Logan.
Anybody else?
Not that I recall.
Did you have any communications with Sergeant Harrison?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I don't recall exactly what was said. He came to check on me and the females.
Did you question the other occupants of the vehicle?
Yes.
Did you take a written statement from the occupants of the vehicle?
I did.
Did you communicate with Corporal Nash or Sergeant Nash regarding the following his arrival on scene?
It's just Deputy Nash.
Deputy Nash.
And he was just assisting.
So did you communicate with him?
Words were said. I don't recall what I told him.
Okay. Did you communicate with Corporal Busby regarding the incident and what happened?
Yes, I believe he assisted with the written statements.
Did you communicate with Corporal Josh Green regarding the incident?
I don't recall speaking with Corporal Green.
What about Chris Hadley?
No.
Did you give any verbal commands to Mr. Bowman?
No.
Why?
Because that would have been confusing. Deputy Harvey was already giving verbal commands.
Did you have your weapon drawn on the vehicle until Mr. Bowman was detained? At any point, did you holster your weapon?
Yes.
When?
When I began interacting with the females.
What about this traffic stop, in your opinion, made it escalate to a felony traffic stop?
When the vehicle failed to stop.
And did Mr. Bowman stop the vehicle in the driveway?
He did.
And that was on his own free will, correct?
Object to the form.
He did stop the vehicle.
He voluntarily stopped the vehicle, correct?
Object to the form.
After
Did
failing
he voluntarily stop the vehicle?
After he failed to stop for the length of Gerson Road, he stopped in the driveway.
And you didn't perform any pit maneuvers or roadblocks or spike strips or anything like that to stop his vehicle?
No.
Were you trained on the position to hold your firearm?
In which occasion?
And I guess pointing it at individuals.
So yes, I was trained. I did complete firearms training.
Okay. And so how are you trained to hold your weapon when pointed at an individual or individuals? Occupants of a vehicle.
Like, are you looking for a name? I'm not sure. I don't know the name of the stance.
Okay, can you describe it for me?
So you stand with your feet approximately, so I'm kind of doing it at the same time, with your feet approximately shoulder width apart, and you have your arms straight forward, and it's in your hands. Your trigger finger is not on the trigger until you're ready to fire it, and your thumbs are pointed forward.
Okay, and at what level of your body do you hold the firearm? Are you trained to hold the firearm?
So if I'm going straight, like up chest, between my chest and eye level.
Did you ever come into close contact with Mr. Bowman?
Not during the traffic stop.
At any point after the traffic stop, did you come into close contact with him?
I read him implied consent. I wouldn't really consider it close contact though.
Okay, about how far away were you from him?
I was in the same room as him to read implied consent at the hospital.
Okay. Did you have any concerns that the other individuals in the car may have had a weapon or been armed and dangerous?
Yes, and until we had contact, like until we were able to search them outside the vehicle.
And I may have already asked this, but did you ever order them outside of the vehicle prior to detaining Mr. Bowman?
So you did. I don't recall. I was ordering them out at the same time they were kind of anxiously coming out because they were upset about what was going on.
And did you have any reason to believe that perhaps maybe they would try to flee or elude?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And so Did you have any reason to believe that Mr. Bowman was attempting to flee or elude?
Yes, I was completely unsure what Mr. Bowman was doing.
Okay, so what is, strike that. I know we just took a break, but can we take another quick break? Let me go through my
Absolutely.
notes and make sure I don't have anything else.
Okay, time off the record, 4:03 p.m. We're back on the record. The time is 4:07 p.m.
Okay, so on October 23 of, strike that. What month again did you begin employment with Columbia County Sheriff's Office?
August.
What was that?
August.
August, okay. And so what positions have you held while employed with Columbia County Sheriff's Office?
Deputy Sheriff.
Okay, and so were you considered a deputy sheriff where you're going through the 3-phase training program?
Yes.
Okay, and so following your training program, what shift did you cover?
You said following training?
Mm-hmm.
Bravo shift.
Okay, and so that shift consists of essentially handling any type of calls that come through dispatch.
Yes.
Okay, and so responding to crime scenes or conducting traffic stops or just general routine patrolling?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so have you ever been subject to any disciplinary action while employed with Columbia County Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
Okay, and tell me about that.
I'd ask that you refer to my file.
Okay. Can you tell me about the first instance that you were reprimanded or subject to discipline?
I'm going to object at this point. I think the discipline you may be referring to, the only discipline I'm aware of, happened after this incident, so it's totally irrelevant to this case. So I'm going to object to that line of questions.
You can answer the question.
So I believe it would be November of 2022.
And what happened in November of 2022?
I had contact with Mr. Hodges and arrested him for resisting arrest, and the charges were dropped, and I was disciplined for it.
Okay, and did you have?
I'm glad she brought that up. So this was the case that she just mentioned with Mr. Hodges. Oh, y'all. This
Your back pocket. I just saw you walking it.
It's a navigational age. What's the problem? You a tyrant?
Shocking body camera video shows deputies arrest illegally.
What's your name and date of birth?
I don't have to give that unless
Yes, sir. I was investigating.
You have reasonable.
Do you want me to put you in handcuffs right now? Yes, sir, I do.
It happened on October. The supervising officer taken into custody for resisting an officer and obstruction.
All right, Mr. Hodges. Was that hard?
It's gonna be. I want your name and your badge number. No, I put him in jail for resisting.
Okay. All right, let's go.
So that's what she did.
A
2022.
And what happened in November of 2022?
I had contact with Mr. Hodges and arrested him for resisting arrest, and the charges were dropped, and I was disciplined for it.
Okay, and did you have a supervisor that assisted you on the scene?
Yes.
Who was that?
Sergeant Harrison.
And what was your reprimand or discipline as a result of that?
I received, are you asking what it was?
Mm-hmm.
I received 3 days unpaid leave.
She received 3 days paid leave to violate a man's right, throw him in jail for absolutely nothing, except not her mindset was gang control. And this man wouldn't just let her gain control by giving up his rights and just, you know, just laying down when he don't have to. So for doing that, she received 3 days paid leave. So she just was off. She just got off and was paid to chill at home for violating the citizen's rights and possibly ruining somebody's life. That was her punishment. You know, that was her punishment. And that's why you can tell she hasn't learned her lesson.
Okay. Were you like demoted in any way or given a different shift?
No.
Okay. Prior to November 2022, were you ever disciplined or reprimanded by the Columbia County Sheriff's Office?
So I have driving incidents on my file, but I think that's separate than the kind of discipline that you're asking about.
Okay, so tell me about the driving incidents that you have in your file.
So I hit a mailbox. Trying to remember, they've been a long time ago.
Oh yeah, she hit a mailbox. She violated citizens' rights. Possibly open up the city to civil litigation several times now. And she's still on the force because her superiors are the ones who taught her to act like that.
I don't recall I know there's one. Oh, okay. So I hit the mailbox. I missed the stop sign, which popped a tire.
She hit a mailbox. She ran a stop sign and bust one of her tires, violating citizens. Like, why is she still on the force? She's obviously incompetent. She can't even drive.
And recently I hit a cement box and backed into another patrol vehicle.
You hit a cement box and you backed into another vehicle. What is going on here? Why is she still on the force? Why is she still on the force? How much, what will it take for them to get rid of her?
Okay. And you say recently, when was that last incident?
I believe the last incident was in March of this year.
Okay. And so is the November 22 incident more of an internal affairs review versus just these kind of, tell me the difference in the disciplinary review board as far as the traffic incidences versus the November 2022?
So November 22, 2020, yes, that was an IA investigation. The traffic incidents go through a review board. I forget what they call it, but it's like a traffic driving review board, and you receive discipline in that way. Like there's set out responses for different levels.
Okay. And so have you ever had like your driving privileges revoked or the vehicle taken away or anything like that as a result of the driving incidences?
I've had my take-home privileges revoked.
Okay. For how long?
30 days.
Okay. And so
So for all of these things, look at her messing up city property, violating the citizens, and her only punishment has been a 3-day vacation, and she can't take the car home for 30. She can't take the city car home for 30 days. That's her punishment. This county is, man, they're a joke. Columbus County is a joke.
are you or have you been on any type of probationary period as a result of any of those?
None, man.
Not that I recall.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
All right, I've got just a couple for you, Deputy Godey. You were asking questions earlier about plaintiff's counsel about the PA system in this Deputy Harvey's vehicle.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when Deputy Harvey was given his loud verbal commands, were you able to hear those commands okay?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any reason to believe that Mr. Bowman did not hear Deputy Harvey's commands?
No.
Okay. Now, as far as the passengers inside of Mr. Bowman's vehicle, could you hear what they were saying inside the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. What did you hear them saying?
They were telling Mr. Bowman to just do what he's asking.
Okay. And all of the comments that Mr. Bowman was yelling out at you and Deputy Harvey, were you able to hear what he was saying? Okay.
Yes.
So in your estimation, was the use of the PA system inside of Deputy Harvey's vehicle necessary?
No.
Okay. You're asked about the pit maneuver, and just so we're clear on the record, Deputy Harvey did not conduct a pit maneuver. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you weren't driving the car, so you couldn't be the one that would engage with a pit maneuver, correct?
Correct.
All right. I think that's all I've got for you. Thank you.
I cannot believe it. All right, y'all. That's gonna be, that's gonna be a wrap for that madness. Coming next on the next stream is going to be the deposition of the other officer that was on the scene. But and just so you know what scene we're talking about, I'm gonna go ahead and play it. This is the case that she just had a deposition on right here. What I'm about to play.
Caught on camera, a traffic stop in Columbia County escalated, ending with a police canine mauling the driver. The incident raising a lot of questions.
What they just did, based on their actions, based on the video, based on the reports, they violated every policy that they have.
These are some of the pictures of the driver who was mauled by the police dog. He's 23-year-old Martinez Bowman. His injury is so severe we had to blur the images. News4JAX reporter Eric Abney is joining us live from outside the law offices of attorney John Phillips.
Eric Phillips is now representing Bowman.
Yes, and he plans to file a lawsuit against the Columbia County Sheriff's Office on the grounds of excessive force that he says his client endured at the hands of that deputy. And according to our crime and safety expert, it's going to be very difficult for the sheriff's office to defend the actions of that K-9 deputy.
No. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
You just heard the audio from dashcam video provided to News4JAX from attorney John Phillips. In the video,
That's her de-escalating. That's them de-escalating right there. These are all the de-escalation actions that she takes. That's them de-escalating by sending a dog to go attack this person. That's what they do to de-escalate a situation. Now that the dog is biting the man and he's screaming for help, that's their version of now the situation is de-escalated because they have control over the situation.
hear a Columbia County Sheriff K-9 deputy deploy his dog on 23-year-old Martinez Bowman during a traffic stop over a tail light that was out. Moments prior to the deployment of the dog, Bowman didn't immediately stop, but he did slow down and drove into his driveway, which he says wasn't far from where the deputy got behind him. News4JAX crime and safety expert Ken Jefferson says it's not uncommon for people to do this when they have doubts about the traffic stop or don't feel safe.
It's apparent that he's not trying to elude them or trying to get away from them, but there's chatter among the officers saying he's probably going to run or he may run. So now they've got a preconceived notion of what he's going to do.
Meaning the deputy is already treating this as a felony stop. Remember, this is about a tail light that was out, an offense that typically results in either a citation or a warning.
He stops the car. The officer is giving him commands. and he's having a concern about being shot.
The concern comes from the fact that after his car is stopped, deputies get out of their patrol vehicle with their guns drawn, as seen in this video.
Put your hands out the window!
Y'all think remember she testified that she was aiming at the car. What do you think she's aiming at right here?
So I definitely felt like I was gonna die.
Jefferson says when an officer gives you a command during a traffic stop, you should always follow the commands. But he also says this incident was not treated as a typical stop for a tail light that was out, but rather a felony takedown with their guns drawn and a recorded statement by the deputies saying Bowman may try to run.
What made them feel threatened to pull their guns out and try to extract this person out of the car at gunpoint?
The deputy yells at Bowman to walk backward towards him. His hands are up, but Bowman was still allegedly facing the deputy when the K9 was deployed, causing severe injuries to Bowman's leg that required multiple surgeries.
The compelling question is, was the K9 necessary to attack this individual? Was he running away? Doesn't appear to be. Was he aggressive towards the officer? Doesn't appear to be.
Now, Jefferson went on to say that based on the video and the offense report that he read, the sheriff's office is going to have to really work hard at trying to restore trust with the community, especially the African-American community in that county. And it's also worth mentioning that Bowman was never charged. So despite everything you saw and everything you heard, he was never charged with a crime in that incident. Now, we did reach out to the Columbia County Sheriff's Office for comment, but they have declined to make any statements because there is a pending lawsuit. Reporting live, Eric Avignon, Channel 4, the local station.
It's her second time on the news. Her second time on the news. Her second time in the situation that it made no sense. And then they're talking about restoring the trust of citizens. Who's going to trust these sheriffs when they've been on the news several times, being tyrants and violating citizens? Come on, man. John Eagle, they stopped him for a tail light that was out. I'm not even going to say broken tail light. They stopped him for a tail light that was out. And it turned into that. How incompetent do you have to be to turn a simple citation into a lawsuit that's going to cost the city millions of dollars? That's the type of that's the level of incompetence you're dealing with when it comes to this county and their deputies. She's a repeated offender, and her sergeant that came out with her when she arrested a blind man, he's the one who told her to do it. What is going on in Columbus County? I couldn't imagine living there, man. That and you can tell in that county, it don't matter who you are. It's if you are a citizen, that's all they teach is control in Columbus County. So, you know, it don't matter who you are. They just want control over everybody. You know, whether it's people who look like me, whether it's people who look like them, it don't even matter. It's their whole thing is control over everybody. She testified that she don't remember nothing about her de-escalation training. She don't even remember the name of it. She don't remember one thing that they taught her in that course or whatever training about de-escalation. The only thing that she remembered is that to de-escalate, we gain control, and then that the situation is de-escalated after we gain control. That was her response. And how she gained control in that situation was by pointing her gun directly at. She said she had her gun pointed at the car, but come on now, why would you point your gun at the car? The lawyer was on her neck the whole entire time about this whole situation. I can't wait to check out the deposition for the other officer that was involved in this case. The one who actually sicked the dog on this man. MGM, she has a serious pattern of corruption. Exactly. been letting these comments play, but I was so into what was going on, man. I couldn't believe it, man. All right, y'all. That's gonna be a wrap for this stream, but y'all go ahead and be expecting the next one for the deposition of the other officer that was involved in this case. But man, and also we gotta do the follow up on the Calvin trial, which is the case where this another female officer planted evidence of a DUI into this man's car. She planted evidence in his car, and then she got in her deposition was acting like she kept switching her story up so many times. Before, at one point, she said she didn't even know that she opened the bottle, but then you see the body cam footage of her cracking the seal and pouring the contents out. And then she claimed that, oh, well, the cup had alcohol in it too, but she didn't say nothing about her pouring the cup with the alcohol, so-called alcohol in it. She didn't pour that. She didn't pour out that cup for some reason, but she broke the seal on the bottle and poured that out, and then threw the bottle back in the car. Man, this stuff is getting crazy, man. These cases be so unbelievable. I just don't, man. We gonna be back at it though, y'all. I got y'all covered. Remember, my goal now is to reach 100 memberships. So if you can help me reach that goal of 100 memberships, please do. Once I reach that 100%, that 100 membership mark, I have a lot of big plans for not just the channel, but things that I want to put in place to make real changes. So I believe that's more than possible to reach 100 memberships with 10,000 people. Come on now. With that being said, AWB, I'm out. I appreciate everybody for checking this out with me. It's unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.